Commander Sarah Chen didn't notice when her pen rolled off the conference table. She was too focused on the holographic display showing the contested border zones between the Galactic Coalition territories and the expanding Vorash Empire. The pen, a simple blue ballpoint from Earth, clattered against the polished floor of the briefing room aboard the CSS Endeavour. The sound, however, caused an immediate reaction among the 6 junior officers seated along the wall. All 6 were from different species, all recently assigned to serve under human command as part of the Coalition's integration program. They were young, eager, and had grown up hearing stories about humanity since the day humans had joined the galactic community 20 years ago. Ensign Vrix, a reptilian saurian with emerald scales, moved first. His chair scraped loudly as he lunged forward, his tail whipping behind him for balance. But Cadet Tyla, a feline Felixian with silver fur, was faster. She dropped to all fours, her natural agility giving her an advantage as she bounded toward the fallen pen. "I saw it first," Vrix hissed, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic. "Irrelevant. I'm closer," Tyla shot back, her ears flat against her head. Before either could reach the pen, Junior Lieutenant Morn, an insectoid Chitauri, extended one of his 4 arms with lightning speed. His chitinous fingers were inches from the pen when Cadet Boren, a hulking Ursinian covered in thick brown fur, simply sat on the floor between them and the objective. "Move, Boren!" 3 voices said simultaneously. "Make me!" the bear-like alien rumbled, grinning to show his teeth. Commander Chen continued pointing at the holographic display, discussing supply lines with Admiral Cross, a veteran saurian who commanded the fleet. Neither seemed to notice the commotion behind them, or perhaps they were simply used to it by now. Ensign Prilla, an amphibious aquarian with blue-green skin, slithered around the edge of the conference table, taking a wide approach while the others argued. Her webbed hands reached out, fingers splayed as she made her move for the pen. That's when Lieutenant Javara, the oldest of the junior officers at 23 cycles, stepped forward. The Andorian stood on 4 legs, her centaur-like body giving her height advantage. "All of you, stand down. This is completely inappropriate behavior during a command briefing." "You just want to get it yourself," Tyla accused, her tail lashing. "I am simply maintaining proper decorum," Javara insisted, but her forward hoof was already inching toward the pen. Boren used his bulk to push forward, causing Vrix to stumble backward. The saurian's tail caught Morn's leg, and the Chitauri clicked in annoyance. Within seconds, all 6 junior officers were in a tangled heap on the floor, each trying to reach the pen while preventing the others from doing the same. "Perhaps if we review the Eastern Quadrant data," Admiral Cross was saying when the pile of arguing officers finally registered in his peripheral vision. He stopped mid-sentence, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement or exasperation. "Commander Chen." Sarah turned around, following the Admiral's gaze. She blinked once, twice, then sighed deeply. "Stand down. All of you. Now." The effect was instantaneous. 6 junior officers scrambled to attention, standing in a ragged line. Each one looked slightly disheveled. Tyla's fur stood on end. Vrix's scales were ruffled. Morn had lost his dignity somewhere in the scuffle, and Boren had the distinct impression he'd sat on someone's hand. "What?" Sarah said slowly. "Was that about?" Silence. 6 pairs of eyes looked everywhere except at her. "Ensign Vrix?" The saurian's scales flushed a darker green, indicating embarrassment. "You dropped your pen, Commander. We were attempting to retrieve it for you." "All 6 of you? At once?" "It seemed the courteous thing to do," Prilla offered quietly, her skin shifting to a nervous purple hue. Sarah walked over, bent down, and picked up the pen herself. She held it up, examining it as if seeing it for the first time. It was just a pen. A cheap plastic pen she'd probably picked up from the supply office. She'd lost dozens just like it over the years. "This pen," she said, "is not a holy relic. It's not a treasure. It's certainly not worth tackling each other during a military briefing with an admiral present." "Yes, Commander," 6 voices said in unison, though none of them looked particularly convinced. Admiral Cross made that clicking sound again. After 30 years of military service, he'd seen many strange things, but human officers and their effect on young coalition recruits never ceased to fascinate him. "Commander, perhaps a moment while you address your team? We can resume in 10 minutes." Sarah nodded gratefully. Once the Admiral left, she turned back to her junior officers. "Someone want to explain what's really going on here?" More silence. Then Jaivara, as the senior among them, stepped forward. "Permission to speak freely, Commander?" "Granted." "You're human," Jaivara said, as if this explained everything. Sarah waited. When no further explanation came, she made a rolling gesture with her hand. "Continue." "Humans are—" Jaivara paused, searching for words. "You're the species that came from a death world, the species that climbed to the top of your food chain through persistence and strategy, the species that domesticated the predators on your world and made them into companions. Every species in the Coalition knows the stories." "Stories?" Sarah repeated flatly. "You know what we call Earth in galactic surveys?" Vrix interjected, unable to contain himself. "Classification 10, only 3 other worlds have ever been rated that high for environmental hostility, and you didn't just survive there, you thrived, you built civilizations." Tyla's ears perked up. "My creche mother told me about Earth's gravity, 20% higher than standard galactic average, and you just live in it every day like it's nothing." "The atmospheric oxygen content," Morn clicked. "It would slowly poison most species. But humans need it. Your blood chemistry is built around it." "And the fauna," Boren added, his voice full of something like awe. "Creatures on your world that could kill most galactic species. You have land predators, air predators, sea predators, venomous insects, plants that can cause death through contact. And yet humans went out and conquered it all." Sarah felt a headache forming. "So because Earth is dangerous, you all fight over my pen?" "Not just that," Prilla said softly. "You're kind. Despite coming from such a harsh world, humans are the ones who always stop to help, who show patience with other species, who teach rather than dominate. My supervisor in basic training was human. She stayed 3 extra hours every day to help me understand tactical protocols because my species thinks differently about spatial relationships. She never complained, never made me feel stupid. Humans pack bond, Tyla said, and there was longing in her voice. With anything, with everyone. There are stories of humans bonding with maintenance robots, with ships, with creatures that by all logic should be their enemies. And once a human decides you're part of their pack, they're loyal until death. We all volunteered for human-commanded units, Jaivara admitted. Every one of us. There were other assignments available, some with higher prestige, but we all chose to serve under human officers. Vrix's scales rippled. Because humans look after their people. They remember names, ask about families, notice when someone's having a bad day. To serve under a human commander is considered one of the greatest honors in the Coalition military. Sarah looked at the 6 young officers, really looked at them. They were all so young, barely out of their respective academies, and they were all staring at her with something she finally recognized. Not just respect, but hope. They wanted to prove themselves worthy of her attention, her approval, her protection. "A pen," she said quietly. "You fought over returning my pen because you wanted to be the one to help me, to show me you're valuable members of the team." 6 heads nodded in unison. Sarah closed her eyes and pinched the bridge of her nose. When she opened them again, her expression had softened. "Listen carefully. All of you are already valuable members of this team. You don't need to fight each other for my attention or approval. You earn that through doing your jobs well, supporting each other, and acting with discipline and honor. Understand? Yes, Commander, they chorused. Good. Now next time I drop something, the appropriate response is for the nearest person to pick it up and hand it to me. One person, calmly, without tackling their fellow officers. Clear? Yes, Commander. Dismissed. And someone straighten Lieutenant Javara's uniform before the Admiral returns. You look like you've been through a plasma storm. As the junior officers filed out, still slightly sheepish but also pleased at having spoken with their commander, Admiral Cross returned. He'd clearly been waiting just outside. "The Cubs give you trouble?" he asked, amusement clear in his tone. Sarah groaned. "You call them Cubs, too?" "Everyone does. Young coalition officers assigned to human commands, Cubs following their pack leader." He settled back into his seat. "You realize they'll follow you into any danger, yes? That kind of loyalty is precious, Commander, and rare." "I know," Sarah said quietly, looking at the pen in her hand. "That's what worries me." "Then use it wisely. Now about those supply lines." As they returned to the briefing, Sarah set the pen down carefully on the table, well away from the edge. Behind her, through the door window, she could see Tyla and Vrix still arguing about who had been closer to the pen initially, while Boren laughed and Javara tried to restore order. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They were Cubs, yes, young and eager and slightly ridiculous, but they were her Cubs. And she'd do everything in her power to make sure they all made it home safely, to whatever worlds they called home, to tell their own stories someday about serving under a human commander, even if it meant keeping her damn pen secured from now on.